it going, my truant people? Dr. Slacking, the Slacking Doctor, back on Pokemon Showdown for week 11, I believe it is, in the PEBA. And this week we're going up against my man, Yung Bisharp, and I do not know his team name. I've completely forgotten his team name, but Yung Bisharp is a really, really cool guy. I think he's one of the younger guys in the community. He's having a bit of a rough season at the minute. I think he's 1 win for 9 losses, so he's really, really struggling this season. But he has a very, very scary team with a dual weather mode. And usually I have the team open in front of me at the start of the battles, but I can't remember it this time. Oh, I don't have it open, sorry, because I'm hoping I can remember it. This battle was about 2 hours ago, so I'm hoping that I can remember everything that happened without needing to kind of refresh my memory too much. So yeah, he's a really, really cool team with the dual weather mode. And if we win this week, if the Lake District Spirits pick up our 7th win of the season, I believe it is this week, 7th win. I think we've only lost 3. Stromful, Ace, and the one guy. Oh no, and then Zach. So this would be our 6th win of the season, maybe. That doesn't feel right. Is this week 11? Yes, this would be our 7th win. We're on 6 wins. We're 6 and 4. If we can win this week, then that would be our 7th win. And if we win this, we get our 7th win. I believe we will be locked for playoffs. So that's all we need is 1 W this week or next week against the EV Master, and we secure playoffs because there's only 2 weeks left. This is the penultimate game. And then our Lake District Spirits will be in their 2nd playoffs in a row. That will be the LTC and PEBA back-to-back playoffs, having never been in playoffs before. Whew, I was super nervous going into this game, and some of you may know, some of you may not. I have been really, really busy at the minute. Basically, I have my university deadlines coming up. Don't want to bore you guys with it, but I haven't done any work all year, so I'm screwed. I'm basically screwed. So I've had no time to prep. My front office did not help at all with the building of this. They didn't help me with any mocking or anything. This was purely me building the night before the battle, waking up in the morning, messaging him saying, "You awake?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, let's do this." But shout out to Yung Bisharp. Like I say, he's one of the young guys in the community, and I know he gets very frustrated sometimes with the way his season's going, but I genuinely think he has the potential to be a very good battler. He just needs to keep working at it. And you'll see in this game, I actually think he plays really, really well. So I think he has a bright future if he just sticks with it and just keeps trying, you know? These things take time. So, without further ado, let me briefly try and recall what he has on his team. So he has a Sand Weather mode, which includes Tyranitar, regular Sand Slash, that's the Gen 1 Sand Slash, Sandforce Landorus Incarnate, which is scary, Mamoswine obviously doesn't exactly get a boost from the sand, but it's there, like it doesn't get hurt by the sand. So he has that as his kind of sand core, and then he has a hail core with the Alolan Vulpix as the snow warning Pokemon, with again Mamoswine not really getting hurt by that, with Alolan Sand Slash as his snow sweeper. So he has the Kanto Sand Slash and the Alolan Sand Slash for each weather mode. And I think that's the only thing on that weather core. But then he also has some other really, really good mons like Charizard X, Mega Charizard X, Starmie, Magnezone, which doesn't care about either weather, being a steel type. So I don't think steel types get hit by snow. Maybe they do actually. Maybe I'm wrong there. Let me know in the comment section if steel types get hit by snow damage, hail damage. I think maybe they do actually. They shouldn't. I don't know. Who knows? But moving on. That's his kind of team roughly. So, with that in mind, this is what we've decided to prep. Listening to that team, you might have noticed that there is a strong fighting type weakness. His Fairy type is part Ice. His Ice Sweeper is 4 times weak to fighting. His Sand Setter is 4 times weak to fighting. He doesn't have a Psychic type outside of Starmie, which isn't... Starmie has some bulk, but it's going to want to be fast, and it doesn't want to take a U-turn, for example. And it's also his main Fire switching. He does have fire switchings in things like Tyranitar, but Tyranitar doesn't want to take close combat. So really, Wukong's dual stab in this game is incredible. I think he just has an insane matchup here where Starmie is really his only switching to Infernape. Even things like, you know, the Mamoswine doesn't want to take close combat and all these kind of things. So I really love Infernape's matchup here. So this was the first mon that I just threw on. I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted a Choice Scarf set so that I could outspeed the Starmie. I could outspeed both Sand Slashes under their respective weathers. Sand Slash has base 65 speed for both forms. So with this EV spread and the Scarf, we did have to run Jolly, unfortunately, but that happens. We do outspeed both under their respective weathers, even if they are max speed Jolly. So that was really, really cool. I thought I really felt happy with Wukong's matchup in that sense. Close combat, as I've said, to hit those things. Flare Blitz so I can pivot out. Thunder Punch if I want to try and catch the Starmie when he's not really expecting it. And U-turn for momentum. Now, most of the time I'm never going to click Thunder Punch. It's just a coverage move for if I want to go toe-to-toe with the Starmie and catch him off guard. U-turn is going to be our primary thing here. This is just a very fast pivot mon that eventually will probably surprise some things like the Sand Slashes and get a kill on them with the close combat. So that's really what Wukong is here for. Next up we have How Now Blue Cow, our Miltank. This week with a fully defensive set with a little bit of attack. This set is really, really cool. Basically, even at +3 after 3 Dragon Dances, we still guaranteed live a Dragon Claw from Mega Charizard X. And because of that thick fat, its Flare Blitz is doing like nothing still. So then we just Thunder Wave that thing. I mean, it should never get to +3 because I should always go hard Miltank on it anyway. But the idea is if we can Thunder Wave Charizard X, it becomes much less of a problem. Its base speed of 100 is not especially great anyway. And with that Thunder Wave, bringing it back down, even if it starts Dragon Dances, you have the chance for Paralysis. You have the chance to stop it from Dragon Dancing again with that Paralysis, and you have the chance to stop it getting damage off. And it needs to get to +2 before it can 2-hit KO Miltank anyway. So, really, really cool set with Miltank here. And Earthquake is a guaranteed 3-hit KO. So if we go into it hard into Miltank on the first Dragon Dance, we Thunder Wave on the second Dragon Dance, he can now 2-hit KOs, but if he gets any paralysis, we 3-hit KO him. So he's in a really big, or really difficult spot there. And it's just, yeah, I thought this was a pretty cool set. That's why we have the attack investment to make sure we can 3-hit KO an offensive Charizard. If he's a bulky Charizard, then we won't. But then the Thunder Wave is going to be even more problematic for him, because if he's bulky, he's probably not that fast to begin with. So that was the idea. Heal Bell and Milk Drink, just to keep the squad healthy with the Heal Bell, and to keep myself healthy with the Milk Drink. Yeah, cool Miltank set. A little bit weird, I appreciate, but hopefully it can put us some work. Next up we have Celebi. Now, Charlotte, our Celebi, has been a much criticised Pokemon by me this year. Maybe not so much on the channel, maybe just in the front office chat. I struggle with Celebi. I really want it to be good, and I want to like it. This is my second time using it. But it just always disappoints me. I think its typing is just so lackluster. Its damage output is never where I want it to be. I guess these base 100s are so versatile that in a way I have felt like this is a jack of all trades and a master of none. That is how I would describe my experience with Celebi. Nevertheless, I got swept by a Dual Dance Landorus Therian. I do not want to get swept by a Landorus Incarnate. So that's why Celebi's here. I don't really know if Landorus Incarnate would ever really run Earthquake Stone Edge. I know its physical attack is actually higher than its special attack. And with it being in sand and being Sand Force rather than Sheer Force, there is no reason to not run it physical. He could. I mean, it gets a better special coverage, but he could run it physical as it's Sand Force anyway. Excuse me. I'm a bit ill at the minute. You guys may notice me sneezing or coughing throughout the video. I've been quite under the weather the past couple of days, but I'm going to try and do my best. So this set was supposed to wall that, and we've gone with the Spadef set because if he's a physical set with just like Earthquake Stone Edge, he's not doing any damage to me, like nothing at all, because of our naturally high defense and then the investment in HP. And if he's a Spadef set, if he's a special attacking set, all I've got to try and do is like tank maybe a Sludge Wave, maybe one Sludge Wave, or maybe a HP Ice. If he's got HP Bug, then hey, good prep, you're going to destroy me. But maybe a HP Ice for like the Altaria or something, but Sludge Wave seemed more likely, so I did think a Sludge Wave was a possibility. But we'll definitely take one Sludge Wave, and we'll take, like, I think Hidden Power Ice isn't even a 3-hit KO from Life Orb Landorus, and maybe in Sand, but outside of Sand, I don't think it is. And we were able to run this Modest Nature, which basically means Energy Ball is a... Energy Ball is like a 2-hit KO on some things. Maybe on the Landorus, maybe on the Starmie, maybe... And this is, of course, there's another Starmie check depending on the set, and if he brings Ice Beam. But we should take one Ice Beam with that Spadef investment for sure. The Tyranitar's not going to appreciate an Energy Ball. Energy Ball just hits a good amount of his team. Earth Power on there for the... Earth Power on there for the Magnezone, because this thing also switches in very, very well on Magnezone. It needs to be running like Hidden Power Bug to be able to hit me. It could have Signal Beam, sorry. Could have Signal Beam. But I don't know if he necessarily brings Signal Beam, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Flash Cannon. Maybe you could have Signal Beam as the final move, to be fair. Maybe like a Hidden Power Ground to try and trap Big Steve. Not entirely sure there. Thunderbolt would probably be enough for Big Steve. But nevertheless, this can potentially wall some Magnezone sets. So we've got the Earth Power on there for that. We may outspeed the Magnezone depending on how bulky it is as well, so we might even be able to get an attack off and Earth Power before he does anything to us, before he gets his Signal Beam off. Synthesis just for longevity, and Stealth Rocks because this is going to be our main rocker. Yeah, just a fun Celebi set. Kind of mixed bulk and offense there. Next up, Dutchman. Jellicent is a really, really cool Pokemon that I've loved using this year. I think it's so underrated in the draft format. I adore this Pokemon. We're running Colberberry this week for the Tyranitar, because Tyranitar, sometimes you don't need to run Colberberry because you can kind of... How do I explain this? Once you get a burn on a Pokemon that's a dark type or running dark coverage, you can just recover it off, so you're okay. Tyranitar is not one of those Pokemon. If it brings banded Tyranitar, even with a burn, I think it 2-hit KOs me. So Tyranitar is just an absolute monster. But running the Will-O-Wisp, we can get a burn on it, and if we get a burn on it, then suddenly it helps the rest of our team out massively. Miltank with that physical book starts to laugh at Tyranitar a little bit more if we can get a burn on it and we can EQ it. And you know, Celebi probably can take a crunch and energy ball it. So the burn really was crucial. I just wanted to bring Dutchman in on the Tyranitar, get a burn. If he's not banded because of the Colberberry, we should be able to live 2 hits. So that's really, really cool. And potentially start recovering off if he's not banded. Scold is going to do big damage. Well, not big damage. It's going to do about 30% to Tyranitar because of that sand. It doesn't take too much, but it's going to do decent damage. This set also, hopefully, will wall a Starmie with the Water Absorb. If he's like, say, Spec Starmie or Scarf Starmie, we can switch on a Hydro Pump, and then we just start clicking Shadow Ball or Will-O-Wisp or whatever we want to do. And we get HP back with Water Absorb, not just Water Immunity, but we get a quarter of our HP back, which is amazing. And we start recovering off or Shadow Balling or whatever it is we want to do. So yeah, I really, really love this. With this Spadef investment, we can take, I believe, 2 Thunderbolts from a Starmie. I think maybe. We definitely take 1, but I think we take 2 Life Orb Thunderbolts. Maybe. That seems ambitious. Maybe not. Maybe we live 1 Specs Thunderbolt. But we definitely have some Spadef on there for the Starmie as well. The physical defense to take those hits from the Tyranitar, as I've said. This was just supposed to wall those 2 things in particular. Next up, Big Steve. Big Steve the Metagross is our first of 2 sweepers at the back end of our team here. This is an agility weakness policy sweeper with Zen Headbutt, Brick Break, Ice Punch, agility. Brick Break is for the Tyranitar for Aurora Veil, Ninetales, so we can break that Aurora Veil. You'll notice so far we haven't got any Defog. That's not going to change. We didn't bring Defog to this game. His only hazard was rocks, and my team didn't particularly care about rocks, so all I needed is to make sure I had a way breaking screens. Brick Break does that. It doesn't lower my speed like Hammer Arm would. It still OHKOs Tyranitar after the weakness policy is popped. We OHKO Sand Slash with a Brick Break. Zen Headbutt plus Rocks takes out pretty much everything else on his team. The Landorus Therian gets an Ice Punch to the face. There's really, like, honestly, if we get Rocks up outside of Resist Berries, this set just wins. This set just absolutely wins. With this speed investment, we outspeed Sand Slash at +2, even if Sand Slash is in the snow or the sand, depending on which Sand Slash it is. Sand Slash base speed is 65, so we had to run Jolly, but we were able to speed creep it. Yeah, and this set really is one of 2 sweepers here. Depending on how the game goes, would depend on which one as I use as a sweeper. So I'll introduce the second one, and then you'll see why. So the second one is Altaria, with the Dragon Dance, Flamethrower, Earthquake, Return. And just before I move on to why we have those moves in this spread, the reason why I have these 2 sweepers and one becomes the main sweeper and one becomes secondary is because Rocks. If he gets Rocks up, I don't have a way of removing them. And at that point, Altaria, its sweeping potential is greatly improvised. Improvised? That's not what I'm trying to say. Is greatly Jesus, I'm an English student. I can't think of the word. If you know what word I'm trying to say, then let me know. But it's cut. Its sweeping potential is greatly cut. It's hampered a lot by Rocks because we will take 25% upon entry, and that's going to make it so that more things can hit us and get big damage on us, or put a timer on us with Toxic, and we've already taken 25%, yada yada yada. So it just makes this set a little bit weaker. So if he gets Rocks up, Big Steve becomes our primary sweeper at the end of the game, and Altaria becomes our primary wall breaker. We get a Dragon Dance up, and we just start killing as much as we can, with Big Steve in the back to then polish everything else off. If you watched that game against Dreadful Dragonite the other day, think of Altaria as our Claydol, and Big Steve as our Scolipede. That was probably ages ago for you guys, but it was just the other day for me, so that's why I'm using that as a referencing point. But yeah, and the other way around, if he doesn't get rocks up, then we'll just go with Big Steve and we'll try and get the sweep straight up with Big Steve. And if somewhere he has a resist berry or a check or something, then Altaria can come in at the end and do the reverse. So that's the kind of idea here. Cloud9, because I don't really know, if you know this then again let me know, but if we were in turn 1 against say Sunslash in Hail, does Cloud9 stop it from getting its Slush Rush that turn, even when we Mega Evolve? I feel like it still gets it. I feel like in the old mechanic, it would have prevented it having Slush Rush. But I feel like, because we Mega Evolve at the start of the turn, it then returns to having Slush Rush. I may be wrong. But this set, with this speed investment at +2, you'll notice it's the exact same speed as the Metagross, but we are able to run Adamant on this rather than Jolly because of its higher base speed. So, basically this set, again, outspeeds everything at +2. The only thing that outspeeds Wukong, Big Steve, and Altaria is Scarf, Starmie, I think, maybe Scarf Landorus as well. But with this speed investment, we outspeed most things that we think are going to be speed creeping us potentially, or not speed creeping us, but that we need speed creep, I should say. Flamethrower just destroys Alolan Sandslash, Earthquake destroys Magnezone, and Return kills everything else after a Dragon Dance. So if we can get one Dragon Dance up, we just start killing things depending on the weather mode he brings. If he brings Snow with the Alolan Sandslash, then we need 2 Dragon Dances, but we'll see. We'll see what he brings. So all that being said, guys, I hope you like this team. This is a team that I've had to build. I'm actually pretty proud of it. Like, I feel like, you know, I've got 2 really good win cons here, some nice defensive checks, and a great kind of pivot and potential, you know, wall breaker / late game cleaner as well with that Scarf close combat that hits nearly all of his team. So yeah, I feel like I feel pretty pleased with this build. Let me know what you guys think, of course. And without any wasting any more time, let's jump straight into battle. And here we are in the battle, guys, and you can see that he brings the Tyranitar, so he brings that Sand mode, the Alolan Ninetales, so he brings the Snow mode as well, but then he doesn't bring either Sweeper. He does bring the Landorus, which makes me scared that this Landorus is potentially Scarf, because Scarf, Sandforce, Landorus could be a real problem, so I need to be careful to play around that. Celebi definitely needs to be the check, and everything else doesn't really benefit from the weather. So I'm like, okay, I've done all this prep for weather, and the weather's not even really going to come into it to play that much, but that's okay. That's okay. Just need to be careful of Scarf Landorus. The Starmie looks to be his main form of hazard removal. Landorus could be Defog, but Starmie potentially is Rapid Spin. So if I can get rocks up with Celebi, they're going to be up for a while because Starmie doesn't really switch in on Celebi. Doesn't want to take an energy ball to the face, so that's really, really cool. His main rock setters, he has a lot of them. Tyranitar, Landorus, and Mamoswine are all excellent rock setters. In my opinion, all of them can do that job. So I do think rocks are going to go up, and I need to then use Big Steve late game instead of Altaria, but we can see how it goes. Looking at his team, I already knew my lead coming into this match would be Infernape. If Tyranitar is the lead for rocks, I can U-turn on it, get some damage, or I can just go for the close combat, see if he's Chopal, see if he's Sash. Ninetales doesn't want to take a Flare Blitz. Magnezone doesn't want to take a Flare Blitz. I can U-turn out on the Landorus. We can scout if he's Scarf. I don't think Landorus would be his lead anyway, unless it was Scarf U-turn. Starmie I can U-turn on, and the Mamoswine I can close combat or check if it's Sash or Chopal. So I really feel like Wukong gives me a great lead here. So we do lead Wukong, and he leads Mamoswine. And I'm thinking, okay, if he stays in, he's either Chopal or Sash. So I'm just going to U-turn, because if he's not either of those, he doesn't stay in. So we U-turn out here, and he stays in. I'm like, okay, he's probably Sash, maybe Chopal. We'll go out to Miltank. This is our physical wall. And crucially, the Zard X hasn't come, so Miltank is not useless, but like the most expendable member on the team. Celebi still checks the Landorus. Jellicent still checks the Tyranitar. These two are still our sweepers. Infernape still our pivot and a potential sweeper. Miltank really doesn't do anything to anything specific, so we may as well just use it in this scenario. I can fire off an Earthquake as he fires off an Earthquake. We scout his set here. We see he's not Life Orb. And I want to go for a Miltank to gauge his damage again, because that could have been max roll, but it wasn't. He did 35 and then 37. If he did a max roll at 35, I could have gone into Jellicent maybe, as his max roll would have been about 53, I think, so we maybe would have lived to. Actually, with rocks, we couldn't have, to be fair. No. I just wanted to scout his set, I think. But we see that we're faster anyway. And we could just start firing off Earthquakes and wearing him down and then going for Milk Drink the next turn because we always outspeed this thing. This is one of the cool things about Miltank. And he actually pops an Endeavor here, bringing us down to 41%. So that's a really, really cool tech. I do think that this was probably Sash from the fact that he did show that Endeavor, which I think is awesome. I think Sash, Ice Shard, you know, kind of like that Fear, isn't it? Focus, Sash, Endeavor, Annoying, Rattata, I think is what Fear stands for. Something like that. But basically, Focus, Sash, Endeavor plus Priority is a very valid thing to do here, and that's why I stayed on the Infernape. But he brings me down to 41, and I'm thinking, okay. So I need to be careful here because I'm going to Earthquake him down, but I've got to make sure I don't put him in a range where he can Endeavor me into Ice Shard range. So if I Earthquake again here, he can Endeavor me, and then Ice Shard me and kill me. And I don't want to just sack something to this thing. I can play around and PP stall him out of Endeavors. I don't know if it will show us on the replay. I don't think it will. Endeavor has 8 PP, and he's used 2 at this point. This comes the 3rd, I believe. No, 4. That's the 4th. I'm just going to keep spamming Milk Drink. That's the 5th. He has 3 left at this point. And he's going to start firing off Earthquakes sooner or later. There it is, because he's realizing, hold on, I need to conserve some Endeavor PP. And he needs to make a read on me. When I click Earthquake, he needs to click Endeavor, and he goes for it there. But I'm just going to remain patient because I have a lot of PP on Milk Drink. I have nothing to lose. This Miltank is completely expendable. If I don't end up PP stalling him out of Endeavors, then so be it. You know, I still revenge kill him with something else like the Infernape, for example. I may as well just keep spamming Milk Drink and hope that I PP stall him out of Endeavors. And I believe that is the last one there. So he goes for the Earthquake. Is this where I just start getting off... Here's where I click Earthquake because I know at 99% I'm not going to get much more back. So I just click Earthquake here, put him in range. He can't Endeavor me anymore. He goes for another Earthquake as I just spam a Milk Drink here on the Ice Shard. I can see why he went for the Ice Shard. It seemed like I was just going to knock him out, but I had no intention of doing that. I just wanted to get this thing as healthy as possible so that I could, you know, still have some viability out of Miltank later on. And he goes hard into Landorus outside of Sand. Which means I can go into Celebi and we can see if this thing's Scarf. He goes for the Focus Blast. And I'm thinking, okay, so it's special. I'm glad that I did the special investment. Could be mixed. And unless he has Hidden Power Bug or Sludge Wave, I'm taking anything from this Landorus, so I'm really not concerned. And I think he's probably Scarf with Sand Force. So he's going to have to switch out here. I'm just going to go for my Rocks. So I just fire off my Rocks thinking he can't do too much damage, but he actually fires off a Life Orb boosted Sludge Wave, which does a hell of a lot of damage. That was the only way he KO'd me. But here he predicts me to go into Big Steve. I'm just going to go back. He predicts me to go to Big Steve after Sludge Wave, and I've got my Rocks up. But Celebi's done its job. After I've got Rocks up, and I know this thing isn't Scarf, I don't really fear it too much anymore. So I'm just going to stay in and click Energy Ball. I'm not going to go into Big Steve and waste our weakness policy on a potential read. I know why he over-predicts there. I can completely see that. He doesn't know that my Metagross is a sweeper set, so it was a fair prediction. And now I can go into Infernape. All I needed was to get that chip damage on it so that Infernape can click Flare Blitz. I'm hoping this will bring Tyranitar out, which would let me go into Jellicent and get some more chip on things, but it actually brings out the Starmie, which is completely fair. And he clicks Thunderbolt. Now, with the Analytic Boost, that does 65%. But that tells me that this thing is Specs, which means I can go into Santeria and I can start Dragon Dancing because a Choice Specs Thunderbolt is doing like 15 to 20% or something stupid. It's doing like nothing. So I just click a Dragon Dance. He goes into Magnezone. I don't see an Air Balloon. It could be Shuka. But I just click Earthquake anyway. Big Steve can win from this point potentially. I may as well just get some chip on something. Then I click Return on this Ninetales. I know that there's no way in hell it's living it. It can't be Sash because the rocks are up. Then he goes into Tyranitar. This could be... I'm trying to think of the berry. It's not Kebia. That's the Poison Berry. Roselli. It could be Roselli Berry, but it's not. And then he goes out into Starmie. And I know this thing can't live one either. So we just, out of nowhere, pull off the Altaria sweep. I know that he was a little bit... downhearted after this game, but I really don't think he should be. In my opinion, he didn't do anything wrong. Like, I watched this game immediately after because, you know, I wanted to be honest with him, and if he did misplay, I wanted to say, hey, look, this is how you could improve next time. There wasn't anything. I didn't see anything that he did overly wrong. His prep maybe could have been slightly better in terms of it could have been like Shuka or Air Balloon, Magnezone to prep for Altaria. I do think that he didn't have anything for an Altaria sweep. Which is problematic. Maybe he had Focus Sash on some things, in which case me getting my rocks up was just crucial. it was just a really hard game. Like, I just think his matchup against me sucked. It was one of those weeks where I was able to bring Infernape, Altaria, and Metagross, all three of which could sweep him. That's not ideal. When your opponent has 3 sweepers against you, you know something's going wrong. I think that his dual weather idea was fantastic. I know he had help from Boots with the draft, and I know that Boots really loved this draft. But in my opinion, it just doesn't work. Theory modding something, if you like, you know, theory drafting is one thing, but then when you put it in practice, and the only way to find out is to put it in practice, sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's how I describe this. But regardless, I believe, are now locked. The Lake District Spirits are now locked for the PEBA playoffs, which is incredible. That is 2 playoffs in a row. It may be we have to beat Eevee next week. I will confirm or deny. I don't know what's going on with my words today. Is that the word I want to use? We're going to use it. I will confirm or deny that claim next week before the battle with Eevee. So you guys will know either, hey, look, we're already in playoffs, or we have to beat Eevee to get into playoffs. Either way, I'm pretty certain we're in playoffs. But it could be a huge game next week. Who knows? I think we're in playoffs, though. Which is the 2nd time in a row, as I've said, having never made playoffs before. Our leagues since... Jesus, what was the last league to finish before the LTC? I don't even know. But we've had playoffs in the PMU, just Kurt's league, which I joined late. But I did only lose 1 game in that league, and that was with a team that I hadn't drafted. So, I mean, I guess that counts for something. But yeah, I made playoffs in his league, made playoffs in the LTC as the Lake District Spirits, which you guys saw, and then made playoffs in this league, the PEBA. So kind of 3 playoffs in a row, but I'm only going to class it as 2. It's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. Hopefully, we can go as far as we have in the LTC. You guys should have seen by now that we're in the LTC final. In fact, you may have already seen the LTC final, depending on the upload order I do this in. I haven't played it yet. But... yeah, just incredible, and I'm so happy. I hope you guys have enjoyed the PBA season. I hope you guys are hyped for playoffs. I am so hyped. I kind of hope they give us a gap week. I kind of hope they give us a week off before playoffs because of my deadlines. I don't know why the whole league would have a week off because of my deadlines. I just, you know, fingers crossed, we can hope. If not, then it might be a little bit rushed prep for playoffs again, and hopefully we can pull something out of the bag. Who knows? Either way, guys. I hope you enjoyed this battle. Altaria coming through with that. How many Pokemon Sweep was it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 Pokemon Sweep. Really cool. Finally getting Mega Altaria up the leaderboard, up the kill leaderboard, which I think is really awesome. So as this plays out, I'm just gonna say thank you so much for loafing around with me, guys. This season has been amazing. The Draft League has really taken over the channel recently, Draft League content. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. I know I have thoroughly been enjoying it. We'll be back with more Draft Leagues in the future and hopefully more LP content very soon too. Thank you all for your support over the last couple of seasons and for sticking with me. This channel is still very much somewhere where I hope we can all learn the draft format together and competitive Pokemon together. I want to bring back VGC to the channel very soon if I haven't done that already by this point. Maybe getting Nico back on because every time I record with Nico we just have the best time. So yeah, I want to keep the competitive content going. And hopefully my uploading can get more regular and scheduled once I have my deadline out of the way. So thank you for your patience and thank you for your support. I appreciate it. It means a lot. And thank you so much for loafing around me. As I said before, I'll catch you again next time.